and I'll mute myself.
Meet Rob Nelson, talk show host.
Because you got the 70s thing going there. I got someone's underwear.
Robert Kennedy, thanks for taking a minute. Simple question.
Tucker, it's good to see you. Listen,
If you're a Bitcoin maximalist, you're Bitcoin forever.
I hate this central bank digital currency.
Hey, I don't have all the answers, but together, I know we can find them.
Down in competition in the ratings tab for late night weekend
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rob Nelson Live. Thank you for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining me tonight. Whew. What a week it's been. I don't even know where to start with all this. Everybody's probably getting tired of talking about Charlie Kirk, but I'm going to still talk about Charlie Kirk a little bit more. It's funny. Who was it? It might have been like Jesse Waters said Charlie Kirk was an American origin. And I don't know if that's true, but Charlie Kirk was a defining moment in American culture. And his death has triggered responses across the political spectrum, from those who cheer it and celebrate it to those who mourn it and condemn it. But it's unusual for one person to create that wide a range of reactions, not, like people like happy, good, I mean, I think about it sometimes. I'm like, how dumb are you? You're going to get fired from your job, like, oh, he's a piece of shit. Good for him. And you post it on Facebook and then 2 days later you're fired. I'm not a fan of firing people, by the way, for their thoughts, but it's also a little like, what are you thinking? Like, maybe you would say it privately to friends, and even that's obnoxious at a moral conscience level. But why would you go post it? Like, that's the world we live in, where people, first of all, shoot people for their ideas. They shoot people for cutting them off in traffic. They shoot their classmates in school. And you'll just go out and celebrate it and cheer about it and say he deserved to die. And, oh, I got fired the next day. And then you're probably mad you got fired. That's, Matthew Dowd, the MSNBC host. He's like pissed at the network for caving in to political pressure from the right. Caved into political pressure from the right. Like, what he said was obnoxious and horrible. Like, you do have free speech. You also have consequences for that speech. And that's where it gets tricky, because there's those who have said, well, Charlie Kirk had a consequence for his free speech. Okay, you want to go there? So if you say ideas I don't like, and you're working for me, I could fire you and be like, go get another job. You were my girlfriend. I could break up with you, say, go get another boyfriend. I don't have the moral authority or the right to go, I'm going to shoot you and kill you right now. That's crossing a line. It's a line we seem to feel so familiar with. Again, kids going into their classrooms and shooting their classmates for bullying. It's not okay to bully kids. It's okay to be angry. It would be okay to want to cause them some pain, but you go in and shoot up your class. You're a transgender individual and you're mad at the school you went to, which was a Catholic school, and you go in and shoot up a bunch of little kids praying in pews. How is that okay? You're Tyler Robinson and you decide, I don't like Charlie Kirk. I'm going to go sit on a roof and assassinate him. You're assassinating thought. You're assassinating the idea of expression. It's the scariest thing in the world to think that we've become a society so polarized, so divided, that we will assassinate ideas rather than hear them. And I've said this before. You don't have to like what Charlie Kirk said. I didn't agree with a lot of what he said. You can't argue that he didn't truly try to have a conversation all day long. He didn't just go out on stages and preach. He went out into crowds of people and engaged in dialogue. And I saw a thing today where one of his people at his thing, I don't know when this was, it wasn't maybe it was a week ago, maybe it was a month ago. Somebody reposted it. And the guy was like, how can you support gay people? If you're a Christian, you're not a Christian if you support gay people. And how can you? And Charlie Kirk literally just shot the guy down. He was like, I don't have to, my faith may lead me to believe that marriage is between a man and a woman, and that's a biblical thing. But I'm not gonna close the door on anybody. I'm not gonna kick them out of my community. I'm certainly not gonna disrespect them. I'm not God. And you're not really who you say you are. And the guy fought back. He's like, and Charlie Kirk did what Charlie Kirk used to do. He went through a list of people. So you're saying this, he named a whole bunch of prominent conservatives who are Christian. And he's like, so are they all bad now too? And the guy was lost in his head. He was just like, I'm just saying it's immoral. And Charlie Kirk was like, it's not for you or me to decide what another person's lifestyle or choices are. I can have my beliefs and I can hold to my beliefs, but I'll welcome you into a conversation and I will welcome you into my faith. And then he made the point, which I've made before. He's like, Jesus preached to sinners. Jesus, had dinner with prostitutes. Jesus hung out with the bankers. Like, my point is, Charlie Kirk wasn't like, yes, they're evil people and they should burn and die. God's going to them. He was like, how dare you? How dare you be so pompous? To think you can judge these people. And for that, we shot him, for having opinions and engaging others in those opinions, and even stopping those people who refuse to do that and saying, you're out of line. You're misguided. You're misguided for thinking those gay people don't belong. You're more misguided than they are. And in my religion, they're misguided because that's not okay by the rules of the Bible. But still, you're really the misguided one here. And for that, we shot him. You don't have to agree with him. You don't have to like him. Bill Maher said, he said, look, it was Billy Corrigan from Smashing Pumpkins was on, and I'm going to come back to Smashing Pumpkins before we're done with this. I'll do my circle back that I hate to say. I circle back like Jen Psaki, but he said, look, I might drink a little more than usual today because I don't know when this is airing, but this is a shitty day. A guy who sat there, Charlie Kirk, got shot today, and I can't stop thinking of it. Bill Maher didn't agree with much of anything Charlie Kirk said. Bill Maher's an atheist. Charlie Kirk's number one thing was his faith first, before everything. Faith before everything. His faith in Jesus, his faith in God. Before his wife, before his kids, before his activism, his faith in God. Bill Maher is an atheist. And he was like, this is a shitty day. We just shot a guy, and I can't stop thinking about it. And Billy Corgan, who's also no uber conservative, was like, neither can I. And Bill Maher said, and we shouldn't stop thinking about it. And he said, if you're on the other side of the political divide and you don't care because the wrong team guy got shot, fuck you. What's wrong with this country? And that's where we're at. Bill Maher doesn't agree with Charlie Kirk, but Bill Maher's smart enough to know that you can't just go shoot people for opinions you don't like. And if you do, well, we're all in trouble. Jay Leno, is ancient now, but those of you who remember, was, late night, the Tonight Show for, 20 years, said it's not a random shooting. It's the death of free speech. That you are so illiterate and so stupid, you can't answer verbally and have to shoot somebody with a gun to win the argument. Jay Leno was no uber conservative. It doesn't matter if you're a conservative or a liberal. It matters if you don't realize where we've come to right now as a society and why this is such an explosive moment, because you didn't just kill a person. And in fact, for the guy who did it and for those who are cheering, Erica Kirk, his widow, was right when she said, "You have no idea what you've unleashed." Like, if you think what Charlie was about was bad, get ready for it times 1,000. And I think Turning Point had like 2,000 chapters, maybe, and I think it was like 2,000 campus chapters and 800 just called religious chapters. I mean, it was big, but it wasn't as big as you think. Social media, big conventions made it seem bigger. They've gotten like 40,000 requests for new chapters. It's like 1,000-fold increase of people wanting to start chapters. If you thought you were killing off what he stood for, you actually just unleashed it times 1,000. And his wife, his widow, was like, I will not stop till, like, you will remember Charlie Kirk, and you will remember what we're about, and you will remember Turning Point. It will be the most memorable thing ever. So in a weird way, when you try to kill or suffocate speech, all you really do is empower it. So if you're one of the people who's celebrating right now, you should really be crying. You should really be sad, not just A, because you're pathetic to celebrate the death of somebody for their ideas, but B, because if their ideas were so offensive to you, fearing his death, you are essentially missing the point. He will be louder. His ideas will be bigger. It will reach more people. So you shouldn't be happy he's dead. You should be really sad. Not because you like the guy, not because you agree with the guy, not because you have the moral integrity to not cheer on the death of another human for having opinions, but because the thing you think is so good that's gone is literally going to be on fire like a fucking rocket ship to the moon, or in Elon Musk's case, to Mars. So you shouldn't be celebrating. You should be crying about what you just are now going to see be unleashed. At the same time, we all should be worried and scared about what has happened and what we have led ourselves to become, because this cycle is not going to stop right now. It's going to continue. I said the other day it's a cultural civil, and I think it is. And I'm not sure she's going to join me. Joy Vila was going to try to join me. I'm not sure if she will. And Joy, if you're listening or you're there, you can log in with your Zoom link. She was friends with Charlie, and we're going to try to talk about it. She might not be able to make it on. But Joy was somebody who stood there in she's the one in the Grammys who wore the Trump dresses. She's a very amazing singer. And she'd be at the Grammys and she'd wear the dresses that said Trump. Made a statement. In the same way AOC wore an Eat the Rich dress. Two different political positions, two women making a bold statement. We going to say it's okay to gun them down now? If you're anybody in the public light, you're wondering, does somebody target me for what I believe? You don't have to be famous even. Does my neighbor target me for what I believe? Does my classmate target me for what I believe? It's like there's no winners in this scenario. There's only losers, and the losers are all of us. And the biggest losers are our kids. The biggest losers is the next generation. This is the world we are bequeathing them. This is the future we're bestowing on them. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. We are all responsible. It's not just one side. It's not just the left is responsible. I can make the argument the left is more unhinged than the right. The left is certainly more violent than the right. But both sides have contributed to this process. It doesn't matter. Finger pointing is useless. We are collectively, as a society, responsible for what's happening right now. And we are collectively, as a society, responsible for fixing it. It's not their problem to fix. I'm in the right, they're in the wrong. Doesn't work that way. Maybe you are in the right, still doesn't work that way. Maybe you're in the wrong, still doesn't work that way. It's a collective responsibility to fix it. And we owe it to ourselves, but more importantly, we owe it to those who come next, to those who are here. A dear friend of mine, two dear friends of mine, an old dear friend of mine and her husband just had a baby. That little guy, he deserves like a beautiful future. Not beautiful just in terms of financial security, like a world in which we don't do this. Stop and ask yourself, what kind of people have we become that A, we do this, B, those of us who didn't do it, some of them cheer it on, and C, on the other side, they point fingers and go, see, this is the problem with you. Where don't we go? This is our collective problem, us as a whole, as an entity, one people. And that's just America. We're doing it all over the world. Yeah, I was thinking about it, because Trump shot down he ordered, I'll read it. It cracks me up when he does these little statements. This morning on my orders, he is such like a king sometimes. This morning on my command, U.S. military forces conducted a second kinetic strike against positively identified, extraordinarily violent drug trafficking cartels and narco-terrorists in the Southcom area of responsibility. The strike occurred while these confirmed narco-terrorists from Venezuela were in international waters transporting illegal narcotics. Then all in caps, a deadly weapon poisoning Americans. Then back to no caps, headed to the U.S. I thought about it. And first of all, it cracks me up that these people keep going out on these little boats thinking, well, we're going to go ship the drugs. Like, if you're in the drug cartel business, you ought to be like somebody else can take the little boat out there, because you know what? U.S. intelligence and U.S. military and U.S. drones can see us, and we're just a little tiny boat, 30 feet long, and they're going to just drop on us a kinetic strike, and we're going to go boom. Like, I'll pass. Somebody else can drive the boat. But then I thought, what drives you to decide it's worth it to make money by poisoning off and killing as many people as possible? It's not like you're shipping pot. It's not like you're shipping weed, which is people smoking. Yeah, maybe it has long-term health issues. I don't know, but it's not even like cigarettes. You're literally shipping drugs that will kill people practically instantly, and letting people mix them up and sell them to make money. Like, what is wrong with you? And I know we've always had this element, but it just struck me like, what are we really doing? And why are we doing it? And what does it take for us, excuse me, to stop and wake up? And I don't want to sound kumbaya about it, but to stop and wake up and realize that this affects all of us. If you cheer the death of Charlie Kirk, if you cheer the death of Charlie Kirk, if you cheer the death of anyone for their thoughts, but if you cheer the death of Charlie Kirk, I don't care how odious his views were to you, you're worse than him. If you think he was Hitler, you're like Hitler times two. He wasn't Hitler. You're not actually Hitler either. I'm making that as a reference point. If you think he was the most odious thing on the planet, you cheering his death for having a conversation with people is worse than him. Think about that for a minute. Take a look in the mirror on that one. So it got personal to me. And sidebar. And I'm going to jump to Israel just for a second, but 4,000 Hollywood artists signed a pact not to work with Israeli filmmakers. There you go. There we go. That's how we're going to handle this. We won't work with anyone who's a Jew filmmaker out of Israel. They have to be from Israel. Being a Jew is just part of it. And Paramount rejected the idea and said, we believe in the power of storytelling to connect and inspire people, promote understanding, and preserve ideas and moments and events that shape the world we share. This is our creative mission. Basically, We don't agree with silencing individual artists based on their nationality. Again, what's wrong with this? Is our solution. We don't like the Israeli government. I know Jews who don't like the Israeli government. I know Jews who don't like Netanyahu. You're going to make it your statement, your platform. Like all the college students who are like going to put on, whatever, go out on the streets and be pro-Palestine, even though they couldn't point it out on a map. And if they went there, they probably would get mistreated. If they were women, they'd be second-class citizens. If they were gay, they'd get their hands chopped off or worse. But you're going to do it. Because why? Because Israel's bombing Gaza. Okay. But you could also ask the obvious question. Why don't the countries surrounding Palestine take the problem under their own hands? Why won't Egypt or Jordan let the refugees in? Why don't these multi-trillion-dollar countries, the Saudi Arabias, these oil-rich countries, simply develop Palestine into not like Trump, a resort, but make it the most beautiful place on the planet. Make it a Dubai. Why don't they do that? Why does Hamas hide itself in churches and schools? Who does that? The disregard for humanity is just sick right now. So we're discarding humanity when we cheer the death of anyone for having thoughts and ideas. We're disregarding ourselves. I know it's heavy. I know it's a lot. And I'm sorry, it doesn't look like Joy is going to be able to join me. And I wish she could, because she was friends with Charlie, and I would love to hear her thoughts, maybe in a future day. But I will say this, and I'll share, and it's a little personal. I'm older, obviously, and I was Charlie Kirk's age in the early 90s. And again, I'm not saying I was a Charlie Kirk, but I was like a Charlie Kirk. I mean, it was a different era. There wasn't social media, which, like I even said, Turning Point was so big, not because it literally had so many people, because of the media, social media, cable media. It got a lot of attention, and they'd hold big summits and events, and they did have 2,000 chapters. That's a lot, but it's not 50,000 chapters like it just applied. It was thousands and thousands of people. It wasn't millions and millions of people. So I started a group called Lead or Leave, and we in the 90s were like a turning. Weren't religious. We were political and nonpartisan, and wanted our government to step up and take accountability for the choices they were making on both sides of the aisle, Democrat and Republican, and not mortgage our future, not bankrupt the next generation, not bury us in more debt. Well, that didn't work out. Not, bankrupt our educational system, not destroy the environment. We literally were not left or right. And I actually believed we could do it. We could be a bipartisan voice. We brought prominent political leaders and business leaders from both sides on board. US senators, Congress people, prominent business leaders. I became friends with the president, Clinton, at the time, just like a Charlie Kirk in a way. There wasn't cable 24/7. CNN was gearing up. It was going, but it wasn't, there wasn't social media. But I was on the national news probably once a week. I was in Time and Newsweek and on the cover of US News and World Report. I was everywhere. I was considered, Hollywood got behind me. Young movie stars got behind me. I was considered one of the leading political activists of my time. And in fact, the name Generation X is not one that we were actually called. We were called the slackers. And there was a small group of us that didn't like being called slackers and fought back against it. Hold on. Joyville is calling me. I'm pausing my story to see if I can get her on. Yeah, hold on. It's worth having her on before I finish my story. You guys can wait with me for a second. If she's there. Let's see if I can get Joy. Joy Villa, I'm on. Can you join me for 5 minutes? The link is there. The link is in your email and in your texts. Yeah, it's in a text and an email. It's a Zoom link. And if you log in, you'll join it. I can send it to you again if you tell me where to send it. My audience is listening. Hold on. Hold on. Do you see it in your email? I see your text. Look up. It's above your text. Look up above your text. Here, I'll send it again. Everybody, hang on. Hang on. I'm sending it to you again. Hold on. I'm sending it to you again. Here it is. Did you just get it? Yes, I just got it. Okay. Jump in and join me. Okay. Everybody, thanks for being patient. Joy is going to join us, which is great. So what I was finishing with is, we didn't like being called slackers. So we started calling ourselves Generation X. And there were a small group of us that had enough visibility and enough high profile that we could do it, that we could make that name happen. And the New York Times said I was the original spokesperson of Generation X. So I understand what it's like. Joy Villa, welcome. Thanks for joining.
Hi, Rob. Yes, sorry
Hi.
about that. I didn't get
No, I was just sharing with the audience how, in a weird way, although not as big, but also in a different time, I was like a Charlie Kirk. I launched a massive movement that had thousands of followers, was friends with the president, was in the news all the time, and had massive support from politicians, celebrities. And I was saying I relate to it, but where I was going with it, Joy, is I was his age. I lived another 30 years. I didn't succeed at changing the world as much as I hoped, but Charlie Kirk doesn't even get a chance to think twice about it. He doesn't get to walk into the ocean like I did yesterday and feel sad or sorry or hurt. He's gone off the map. His ideas aren't, but he is as a man. And Joy, what I was saying was, and I want to let you talk and I want to let you share because I know you were friends with him, was that those who celebrate his death, you're celebrating the death of all of us. It's like we are all in this together. I don't care what side you're on. We are collectively responsible for keeping us together. And if you're going to kill people for having ideas and engaging in conversation, you're basically killing all of us. I'll let you talk.
Absolutely, Rob. It's a sad day when people celebrate the death of someone because the ideas are something they disagree with. You can be upset at somebody's ideas, you can be angry at somebody's ideas, but you are not allowed to shut them down to the point of murdering them. It's wrong. And celebrating the murder and the death of somebody you disagree with is killing them, is aiding and abetting that death, because you're now saying we want more of that. Let's continue that. And violence begets violence. So this is a slippery slope.
That's the point. And by the way, Joy, I said this before. It's funny. If you think Charlie Kirk's ideas are odious and you're celebrating his death, you're actually worse than him. If you think he was the devil and you're celebrating his death, you're actually worse than he is. It's sort of like he actually just celebrated a dialogue. Talk to me. You knew him.
I knew him for
you knew him
many years. I knew him for over 8 years, and I spoke alongside him at Turning Point events. I spoke alongside him at the White House, different events we went to. We traveled all around the country. I was with Turning Point. I as myself, but I'd speak at Turning Point events. I'd be at the White House social media events, and Trump would call the conservative, outspoken people. And so I worked alongside him, and I knew his wife. I still know his wife, Erica, when they were just dating. And this is a man who always had open dialogue, was a gentleman. Anybody calls him a Nazi, a hate monger, any of these things, it's not true. He never cut off somebody for their difference of opinion. In fact, he could change his mind on certain things depending on what that person said. And there's a lot of people who knew him and knew that he would take it into account. Okay, if you have a different viewpoint, I will listen to you, but I will also stay true to what I know. And that was Charlie. Charlie was strong in his beliefs. And if you think his beliefs are so extreme, that's conservative Christianity. Okay. I'm sorry to tell you that, but that is a lot of what America thinks. And if you cannot celebrate that a person was outspoken in their beliefs without saying you want to kill them, There's something wrong with you. You're the devil. You're disgusting. And anybody who's celebrating this man's death, they're going to find out that this world is not as coddling as the world that they're in. They think that they can just say whatever they want. And people are getting fired for that, which is good. They're tweeting these things and people are mass reporting and they're losing their job. And then they're crying on Twitter, I lost my job. But you're a nurse, you're a doctor, you're a teacher, and you're celebrating the death of someone who was such a gentleman and my friend. It's disgusting.
But Joy, that's what I talked about that in the beginning, but that's what scares me, that people are so stupid right now that I can get it. It's abhorrent. You would go tell your friends you're happy, but maybe you'd say it privately, that people post it on their socials and then get fired the next day.
It's completely
Joy, that's where we've come to as a society, where people actually think it's okay to put it on Facebook. Even though at some level you're like, don't you know you're going to be fired tomorrow morning? Like,
well, they don't think about their actions. They don't think about their actions. And this is what I want to say. This is a hurting world. And if you don't know God, if you don't have some sort of peace, if you don't know a savior and a creator, for me, it's Jesus Christ. For Charlie, it was Jesus Christ. So we know where he went. He went to heaven. For me, it's incredibly comforting to know that he lived his life the way that my Bible tells me to live my life. He stood up. To me, he's a martyr for my faith. He's a Christian martyr. So it's disgusting when they slander, when they attack, but they slander and attack anyone. And they slandered and attacked Jesus, who lived a perfect life. So of course they're going to attack his followers.
Yeah.
So on the flip side, it's disgusting, but I also don't focus on those people because I pray for them. I pray for them. They have wicked hearts. They're hurting. They have trauma. And I don't believe that they will stay that way. I don't believe that those people who are wishing him death, the blue-haired, professional victims from whatever side, but I'm going to say those people who are wishing him death, who are getting fired, they're going to see that they're going to regret their words. They're going to eat their words because karma is a real thing. And they're going to say, wait a second, this man literally didn't do anything to me. I just disagreed with what he said.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm not an atheist, but I don't necessarily believe in a heaven, so it's sad for me. I wish I did and I listened to his wife's amazing eulogy. And by the way, I said earlier in the show, she's like, you have unleashed fury.
Erica is awesome.
You have unleashed the most powerful force ever in killing him. And I said, that's why if you're cheering his death, you should be crying because the thing you think you killed is about to be 1,000 times, 10,000 times stronger.
Exactly. They're going to eat their words. They're going to see that hate is not stronger than love. It's louder, but it's not stronger.
It's not even real. Love is the only real thing. But Joy, so I don't have that belief of a afterlife, so it scares me. But I do want to say, you mentioned the atheists, and I pointed out earlier in the show, so sorry everybody if I'm repeating it, but that Bill Maher, who is an atheist, said to Billy Corgan, who's also a liberal, the Smashing Pumpkins singer.
No, Billy Corgan's not a liberal.
I mean, conservative.
He's conservative. I was going to say, Billy's a friend of mine. I was like, oh no, he's
sorry. But Bill Maher said he drank more the day of Charlie Kirk's death. And he said, it's a shitty day. And he said, I can't stop thinking about it. And he said, and if you're on the side of the divide and you don't care because the wrong guy got shot, fuck you. This is an atheist who didn't agree with probably one thing Charlie Kirk said.
This is an atheist, liberal, leftist.
And he's like, this is a horrible day. This is a horrible day that we're doing this.
Because people know too, this is the thing. If you're cheering for someone to be killed in the streets, slaughtered, brutalized, a brutal assassination, a 31-year-old young father of two, a husband, a businessman, somebody who dedicated his life to his ideas, who stood up for his own faith. If you are cheering for that, and let's just say the next time they shoot somebody, it's on your side, right? What if who's to say the next person isn't Muslim or atheist or leftist or Starbucks worker who someone disagrees with? If we are saying it's okay to celebrate the death of a political and ideological opponent, then all bets are off. Now we're just murdering people in the streets because we disagree with them. That's called anarchy. That's called an absolute unheavable, unlivable society. Nobody wants that. So people have to realize what they're cheering for, they don't even want. And I don't
You,
think they do know. It's mental illness. And
yeah,
to me, it's a spiritual battle. They're demonized. It's demonic because these people are absolutely out of control. So I pay them no mind. They're loud. It's disgusting. But I'd rather focus on the voices that are carrying the torch. I'd rather
okay,
focus on the people like you who do stand up strongly for what you believe in. I'd rather put that attention because I believe now is a turning point. We can either pick up the microphone or we can sit and go into depression or go into
uh-huh,
fear or go into anger, go into any of these negative emotions that we're processing right now as a country. But we've got to use that and carry the torch and speak louder. I want more podcasts opening up. I want more people broadly broadcasting their belief system, even if it's the total opposite of mine. I can agree to
yep,
disagree with you. I will fight for you're an atheist who hates God, who hates conservative beliefs, who hates everything I stand for, hates my dresses. Great. I want you to have your podcast. I want you to do your college tour because I'm not going to be silent. I don't want
yep,
anyone to be silent. We need more communication, not less. And this emboldens me. As a believer, this man died for his beliefs and his faith. And I don't want to die, not right now. But if the Lord took me home like that, I would say, well done, my good and faithful servant, MLK, JFK. These are leaders who died for what they believed in.
yeah, and joy is so powerful. And yet,
Malcolm
like I
X.
said, yeah, and like, yes. It's funny. You want to go political for a second. In the 60s, we were killing off the liberals. Now we're killing off the conservatives. But I thought about that the other day. All the
Yeah.
major assassinations were mostly high profile liberal leaders.
Yeah.
Now we're trying to get the conservatives. But that said, and like I said, I don't have that faith that I go into God's hands or Charlie gets picked up and sits
Yeah,
by
I
Jesus.
understand.
And so it's maybe scares me even more. Not that I'm worried about dying at this point. I'm older, like I'm going to go eventually, but I worry. I worry for humanity. I worry that we are destroying our society. And if I was you, I thought about it before you came on. I was like, you used to walk around in their Trump dresses, and AOC walked around in her Eat the Rich dresses. Either one of you today could be a political target. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's very true. Yeah, and that's the thing too. It's for me, I'm both emboldened by what happened, but of course I'm heartbroken. I've spent the last few days crying, knowing that Charlie's my friend and he's no longer here with us, knowing that his widow has to wake up to a cold, empty bed where her husband once was, where they're
The
newlyweds,
rest of
where
her
they have
life, for the
3-year-old, the
rest of
rest
her
of
life.
her life, her 3-year-old daughter and 1-year-old son will never get to see their daddy again, ever until they die. And to relive that moment over and over again. How do you get through something like that? How do you make it and wake up the next day and speak and hold it together? Unbelievable strength. But also,
Faith.
she
Well,
knew
faith. She had
it's
faith.
faith. She has faith in Jesus Christ and unbelievable, unwavering strength in knowing what her husband fought for was worth dying
Mm,
for because
mm.
she knew that this was always a possibility. When she married him, when she dated him, when she had kids with him, ooh, she knew that this could be the end.
Yeah.
Just like every wife or husband who says goodbye to their police officer or their EMT or their firefighter spouse, or now it's a political, right? Everybody's got a target on their back in some way because we all have enemies out there. But we all know when you go into war, every soldier, every warrior that's out there, you might be kissing them goodbye for the last time. But we know that nobody is promised the next day. Well, you could walk out the street and you could be in the cushiest job ever and get hit by a car or have a heart attack or choke on your bagel in the morning. Life is not promised to us.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it makes me see how precious it is. And at first I was devastated. Oh my gosh, why would you want to live like that knowing you could die? Then I go, but why wouldn't you?
Mm.
I don't
Wow.
think we should tempt fate, but what is it worth it if we're
Wow.
not going out there knowing
Wow, Joy.
I'm
Wow.
living a life worth dying for? My
Wow.
beliefs
Wow.
are worth dying for.
Wow. That's powerful. And I got to say, I said I'm not super religious, but I said this the other day. Everybody out there was watching. I think faith is the most powerful force in the world. And
Yeah.
I have faith. I may not
Good.
believe that I
Good.
go up to heaven in God's hands, but I believe faith is the driving force. It's what, as humans, It's
Yes.
what carries us through. If we don't
Yes.
have faith, we're lost. And it doesn't have to be a faith
Yeah.
in, you're saying it's in Jesus. I'm saying if you don't truly have a deep sense of faith, of believing in what you can't see right now, of
Yeah.
holding on to something
Yeah.
bigger, what have you got?
That's it. That's it. You're preaching, Rob. You have to have faith that you are doing the right thing the best you know how. And it takes faith just to walk out the door today. It takes faith just to know you're going to eat the food and not be poisoned, right? You can either live in fear or you can live in faith. And fear is false evidence appearing real. FEAR. If fear is, you're going to be more afraid of what could be in your head, right? Somebody said, I forgot who it was, who said this, a brilliant quote, that I failed and died many times. Luckily, it was all in my head. Something, and I think that was Huckleberry Finn author. I'm drawing a blank, but I
Mark
think
Twain.
that was it.
Mark
I
Twain.
think it was Mark Twain who said that.
And
I thought,
I'm
what
going
a
to say
great-
you defined fear, and I'm going to define faith according to Paul in the Bible.
Yes.
The
Yes.
substance of things hoped
Things
for,
hoped
the
for,
evidence
the
of things not seen.
not seen.
Meaning you can't see it. If it's faith, if you see it, it's not faith. You can't be like, no, I know God's got me because he got me last week. That's not faith. That's trusting it worked. Faith is, I don't know. I can't see it,
Wow.
but I know it's there. And
I wanna
that's what we
cry.
all need right now.
That's it. And without faith, it is impossible to please God. And no matter who you believe God is and what your faith is in, know that there is a creator out there. We were created for something good. That's why we have creative energy, and that we were all imbued with the gift that Charlie Kirk had. Everybody has that power to enact change on some scale. On some scale, if you have strong beliefs, you have to have the faith to enact it. And we know because we feel conflicted and we feel stuck and we feel like, oh, I want to say something, but I don't. And that's why that if you just bust through and just say, I'm going to say what I want to say, I'm going to do what I want to do, I'm going to have the courage to live my life, to be a creative, to start that podcast, to marry the person I love, to travel, to just create, because life is not promised. Charlie Kirk lived every single day like he could have died at 31. He started at 19 and he lived every single day as if his days were numbered. Well, we should all be living that way, whatever that means for us. So don't listen to what society tells you. Don't listen to what fear tells you. Don't listen to what your parents expect of you. Your spouse tells you, should you do. Listen to that gut feeling of what you know you should be doing.
Joy. That's powerful.
That's all we have.
Before we go, since you are a religious believer and you do believe Charlie's up in heaven and his
I
wife
have to
obviously,
say too, though I'm not religious, I just love Jesus. I think religion.
I use the wrong. I should not call it religious. You are a believer in Jesus and in heaven.
That's right, Rob.
And
yes.
And a believer that Charlie's up there sitting with his Savior.
Yes.
What would you I know this sounds cheesy, but I think if that's true, some part of his uber consciousness of the universe can hear. What would you tell him right now? Because he's looking down or not looking down. He can't be looking through glasses, seeing us. What would you say to Charlie Kirk right now?
I would say, thank you, Charlie. You did a great job. I'm sorry I didn't tell you more, get to know you even deeper, or help you more. I wish I could have helped you even more on what you did. And I will carry the torch, and I appreciate you. And I want you to know that you've been a good friend to us all. And I respect your legacy, and we're not going to let it die.
Oh, Joy, thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you for taking the time to come on, Joy. I appreciate you so much. I love you. Thanks for making the time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rob.
I'll talk to you later. You're making me cry too. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. I'm just going to wrap it right there. No more need to say anything more. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.
Meet Rob Nelson, talk show host.
Because you got the 70s thing going there. I got someone's underwear.
Robert Kennedy, thanks for taking a minute. Simple question.
Tucker, it's good to see you. Listen,
If you're a Bitcoin maximalist, you're Bitcoin forever.
I hate this central bank digital currency.
Hey, I don't have all the answers, but together, I know we can find them.
Down in competition in the race.